afternoon, students. Today we have a lecture on antenatal care. Learning objectives of today's lecture are: know the stages of maternity cycle and various terms describing the same. You should be able to tell the objectives of ANC. You should know about the antenatal visits, when they have to be done, and you should be able to detect high risk cases. You should be able to give prenatal advice. Stages of maternity cycle. So the maternity cycle could be divided into the fertilization, then the antenatal or the prenatal period, intranatal period, postnatal period, and interconceptional period. So the prenatal period, we should know that first it is the ovum for up to 14 days, it is known as the ovum, then embryo 14 days to 9 weeks, fetus from 9th week till birth, then we call it a premature infant if it's born between 28 weeks to 37 weeks, and birth, that is full term, an average of 280 days of gestation. So the prenatal period, that is from 0 days to birth. Then after birth, up to 1 year, we call the baby a infant. And then in the infancy period again you can divide it into neonatal and post-neonatal. Okay. So that is up to 1 year, 1 month you can call it neonatal, and after that up to 1 year you can call it the infancy or the infant. Then the neonatal period could be again divided into early and late, that is the first 1 week. Okay. So why do we divide it into different these different groups is that for a newborn, the early neonatal period is very crucial. So if any complications or anything, then the morbidity and mortality is again vary in these different periods. So it is very important to classify them into these different groups. Antenatal care. So antenatal care is health care of a woman during pregnancy. And the origin of ANC is that it was a very late development in modern obstetrics. Only in 19,000 this concept of formalized labor and delivery care services were there, and then up to 1930s, only after that they thought that antenatal care was important. And why this thought came up was, they realized that with all this uh, conducting of safe delivery practices, what they had seen that the mortality rate due to complications like hemorrhage, puerperal sepsis, obstructed labor was coming down, but the mortality which was due to eclampsia and all that, there was no much change. So this concept of antenatal care came up. Okay, and then the most important point is we should know what is the aim and then objectives of antenatal care. So the aim is to achieve at the end of pregnancy a healthy mother and a healthy baby. Objectives are to promote, protect and maintain the health of the mother during pregnancy. And again, important one is to know or detect the high risk cases, and then we can give special attention to them, to foresee complications and prevent them, to remove anxiety and dread complication associated with pregnancy, to reduce maternal and infant mortality and morbidity, to teach the mother child care, nutrition, personal hygiene and environmental sanitation, to sensitize the need of family planning and medical termination of pregnancy, to attend to the under 5s who are accompanying the mother. So this is the most important one. So ANC, you could be, if this question is there, you could be asked to write about the objectives of antenatal care. Now, when it comes to antenatal care, there are three most important things. The first is the antenatal visits. Then after that you have the advice, what advice you need to give in this prenatal period, and then specific health protection. Okay. So now starting with the antenatal visits. First we'll speak about what is the ideal number of visits. So the ideal number of visits is once a month during first 7 months, then twice a month during next month, and then once a week after that up to delivery. Then here in India we have most of the women, or you can say majority of them, from a lower socio-economic status. So if they are coming for antenatal visits, that means that they would lose their bread and butter for that day. Okay, they are usually working on daily wages. So at least to have these 4 visits was advised. Okay, the first one within 12 weeks or as soon as pregnancy is known. The second visit between 14 and 26 weeks. The third one between 28 and 34 weeks. The fourth visit between 36 weeks and term. Okay. So, and at least one visit should be paid at the home of the mother. So, again, this home visit is a very important concept. A newer one, that is the latest recommendation by World Health Organization, says that a minimum of 8 visits at least is needed. That is at 12th week, okay, or as soon as the pregnancy is known. Then at 20 week, 26th, 30, 34, 36, 38 and 40 weeks of gestation. Importance of early pregnancy detection. So, by detecting the pregnancy early, we can have a proper planning. There are so many factors where the lady wants to deliver or many other things. So, all this could be planned. Then, the most important one is we will know the LMP and EDT. Now, LMP is the last menstrual period, that is the first day of the last menstrual period, and by this we can calculate the expected date of delivery. Now, there are many methods to calculate this. The most easiest is to the first day of LMP, you will add 9 months and then 7 days. Okay. So, this will give you a expected date of delivery. Then we can assess the health status of the mother, whatever medical conditions or whatever any problem she has. So, this could be taken care of, or we could know all these. Then timely detection of complications. So, any complications if present, they could be detected. Then the most important point is confirm if the couple actually wanted the pregnancy, if they want to continue the pregnancy. If it's diagnosed early, then maybe we could then they could think if they really want to continue with the pregnancy, or if they don't want to, then they could be referred for medical termination of pregnancy. Then if the pregnancy is detected early, then they could we could have good interpersonal relation. Now, after this, once we know this, there are few other important concepts that you should know here are the estimation of number of pregnancies in a specified area and pregnancy tracking. So this could be asked in your exams. So what you should know in this is that usually the registrations of these pregnancies is done by the ANMs in that given area. Okay. So this it is essential that these ANM should know what is the estimated number of pregnancy to be registered annually in her area. Okay, and by having this number, if she is getting less registrations, then with the help of ASHA or Anganwadi workers or during any other sessions, they could try to find out if there are certain pregnancies which are not registered. Okay. So how do you calculate this is the ANM has to know the population size, okay, and the birth rate for that given area. Okay. So this is the formula. expected number of live births per year, that is the Y. So this is equal to the birth rate into population of that area divided by 1000. So what you're going to get here is this Y. Okay. So another important thing that should be known is that some pregnancies may not result in a live birth. Okay. So you need to take certain wastage factor. So this would be 10% of the Y what we have calculated. So if we take Y, that is expected number of live births, and then again add 10% taking it as wastage of those pregnancies. So if you add this, you are going to get the final estimation of number of pregnancies in a given area. So now for this number, in any given month, the ANM should have half of these pregnancies registered with her. Okay. So this is the way how she is going to estimate the number of pregnancies in that area. Now what is pregnancy tracking is that every lady who is pregnant, when she is registered, she will be given a unique number. Okay. And another policy decisions are that a name based tracking system for these pregnant women and children. So by these the ANMs, they could track them, they could see if the lady has not come for an antenatal visit. So they could track her and they could check why she is not coming, or whenever she comes for the next visit, whatever was missed during the previous, so that could be taken care of. So once the lady is coming for a visit, okay. So now we were speaking about antenatal visits. We have seen what are the ideal number of visits. Okay. So on first visit, what are the things that need to be done? Okay. So registration of pregnancy, I told you, is the most important thing. Now registration of pregnancy, ideally it should be by 8 weeks, latest by 12 weeks. Okay. And other things are confirmation of pregnancy. A urine pregnancy test could be done and the pregnancy could be confirmed. Okay. Then after this, it is the baseline investigations, whatever needed. So all those will be done. Then screening of any high risk pregnancy. So that could be done. Then uh, after the first trimester, then we could start with iron. Folic acid will be started much earlier. It could be given in even in the preconceptional period. Then immunization with TT if the lady is coming for the first time in her second trimester. Then initiating education of mother regarding pregnancy, child care. So all that could be started in her first visit. Okay. Now, a word about the antenatal card. I told you when she is coming for the first visit, we are going to register her pregnancy, and then this card, antenatal card, would be provided. So this is prepared at the first visit. Now, what exactly this card is, that it is a permanent ongoing record. Okay, and this would be continued throughout the pregnancy. It has a unique identification number. It has various other things, the demographic details, all the history, so whatever findings, so that would be written. So all this would be there in the antenatal card. Preventive services for the mother. So in the prenatal services, that is before delivery, the first most important thing is we need to have a detailed history taking. Okay. So in history taking, we would confirm the pregnancy by a urine pregnancy test. We would see what is the first day of a last menstrual period. Then we would ask about the previous pregnancies, whether she had any complications, whether she has any symptoms at that time. when she is coming, like fever, vomiting, or per vaginal discharge. Okay, so all these things should be asked in detail so that we could uh, we could register all this and see if there are any complications. Other than this, we need to know about her medical conditions, if any. So we could, so all this is a part of her history taking only. So any medical conditions like diabetes, hypertension, if she has any thyroid disorders, anemia, some coagulation disorders, seizures, asthma, HIV, cardiovascular diseases, drug allergies. So all this history has to be taken in detail. Okay. Then coming to the obstetric history, I told you what we already mentioned, the LMP and all this, it could be asked in her obstetric history. Then about the family history, whether they have any family history of diabetes, hypertension, tuberculosis, or delivery of twins, that could be asked. Uh, then psychosocial history, that is any drug abuse, okay, of tobacco, alcohol, whether she has poor dietary habits, personal hygiene, okay, then mental disorders, and her family support system. So all this could be asked. Then in immunization, we can take immunization history of rubella, varicella and hepatitis B. Then again a very important history is the genetic risk assessment. It is a very important preconceptional tool, okay, to identify any genetic problems. Next important aspect would be the physical examination. So in physical examination, there are few important things. What we should know is the uh, pulse. We need to calculate her pulse. Then check for pallor. So anemia is again a very important problem in pregnancy. So we need to see if she is pale. Then her respiratory rate, edema, okay, then blood pressure, her weight, and breast examination is done. Now a word about edema is uh, uh, edema which is there in the evening and after proper sleep. If it disappears in the morning, then it is a normal finding in pregnancy. But edema of face, hands, abdominal wall, vulva, it's abnormal. Okay, so it could signify that she is having pregnancy-induced hypertension. So these are signs of PIH. So you need to keep this in mind when you're examining or you're checking. Okay. So another important point is about hypertension. Hypertension, you can see that to diagnose it, systolic blood pressure more than 140 mm of Hg and diastolic more than 90 mm of Hg. Okay, and if there is presence of albumin, okay, then it could be taken as preeclampsia. And another important finding, if her diastolic goes above 110 mm of Hg, then it is a danger sign and that could point towards imminent eclampsia. And about weight, a normal weight gain should be 9 to 11 kgs in pregnancy. Okay. And after the first trimester, women should gain around 2 kgs every month. So an inadequate dietary intake could be suspected if a woman gains less than 2 kgs per month. And another important concern is excessive weight gain. If it's more than 3 kgs, then you should suspect that she has preeclampsia, or it could be twins, or she might have developed diabetes, or she has diabetes. Okay. Now about the next important point is the abdominal examination. So this again you would have it in detail in your OBG posting. So I would just tell you a few important things. You need to know the fundal height. Okay. So when you palpate the abdomen, that is with the ulnar aspect of your hand, and you're checking for the fundal height, where you're going to find the level of uterus. So that would show you roughly you could estimate the gestational age. Okay. So at 12 weeks, the uterine fundus is just palpable. At 20 weeks, it is at the lower border of umbilicus. I'm just telling you important ones. You have a separate diagram for this which would show you the levels and the gestational age. And at 36 weeks, the fundus is felt at the xiphisternum. So these are few important ones. Then the fetal heart sounds, they could be heard after 6th month. Okay, and it varies. The heart rate varies from 120 to 140 per minute. Okay, and they are best heard in the midline, and after the 28 weeks, the location may change because of the position and different lie of the fetus. Okay, then the fetal movements, they could be felt by the examiner after 18 to 22nd week, and fetal parts again in the same period after 22nd week, and after 28th week we could distinguish different parts, the head, back, limbs, and we could even detect for the multiple pregnancies. Then the fetal lie and presentation, that is more relevant after 32 weeks. Okay, so these are the important findings that we could see in the abdominal examination. Then to know the gestational age, this is by LMP and the sonography, ultrasonography. So this is the best method. A combination of both could give us a good idea of what the gestational age is. Then the next important point is the lab investigations. Okay, so in lab investigations, the different investigations to be done are the complete urine analysis, stool examination, complete blood count, serological examination, then blood grouping and RH typing. So a word here that few investigations which are done at the subcenter level is the pregnancy detection, hemoglobin, and urine tests for albumin and sugar, and the rapid malaria test. So this is all what is done in a subcenter. At the higher centers, that is PHC, CHCs and first referral units, blood grouping and RH factor, VDRL test for syphilis is done, HIV testing, the rapid malaria test, blood sugar testing, then HPSAG for hepatitis B. So these are the investigations which are done at these levels. Now the essential component of every ANC. Okay, so for every ANC, few things have to be kept in mind, that we need to take a proper history, we need to have a physical examination, the abdominal examination, and the laboratory investigations. The interventions and counseling are that we need to give iron and folic acid supplementation or any other medication as needed. Immunization, that is against tetanus. Then group or individual instructions, that is the health education or nutrition, family planning, self-care, delivery and parenthood. Then home visit by a female health worker or a trained guide. Reference services wherever necessary, and inform the women about the various schemes, that is the Janani Suraksha Yojanas and other incentives offered by the government. So this we would again be seeing in the other classes. Okay. Okay. So the most important point in ANC is that you should identify the antenatal women, or you can say the pregnant women having risk factors, who are at high risk, and giving them special care, and then providing the other basic care for all the women. Okay, now what is this risk approaches? There are certain conditions or certain pregnancies which are at high risk, like elderly priming. Okay, that is 30 years and above. Short stature priming, that is 140 centimeters and below. Okay, the height of the primary is or the pregnant lady is less than 140 centimeters. Malpresentation, breech, transverse slide, then antepartum hemorrhage or threatened abortion, preeclampsia and eclampsia, history of stillbirth, IUDs, manual removal of placenta, elderly grand multiparous, prolonged pregnancy, then history of cesarean sections or any instrumental deliveries, which are very rare now, but history of cesarean sections, that is in the previous pregnancy. Then pregnancy associated with some other diseases like cardiovascular diseases, kidney diseases, diabetes. Okay, so in all these conditions, so this could be taken as the high risk group. Right. So about the antenatal card, which we have already discussed. So it is a one-time card which has to be maintained throughout her pregnancy, and which will have a unique number, and all the history is written on it, and it would be maintained at the MCH centers. Okay, and it provides a link. Okay, it's a chain that ANC create the same card. Again we have this PNC card, and again it's linked with the under 5 card. And another important concept which I have already told you, that is the home visit. Home visit has certain advantages. That is, the uh, mother is more relaxed. Okay, the mother is relaxed at home. The visit would win her confidence, and the ANM could even observe the environment and the social conditions, and she could give her all the prenatal advice there. Moving to the prenatal advice. So in prenatal advice, the various components are diet, hygiene, about few drugs, okay, which are not to be taken in pregnancy. Then about radiation. Then about the few warning signs, and the child care. About diet, why it is important? That is, in pregnancy, a total calorie needed is around 60,000 kilocalories or more. Lactation demands 550 kilocalories a day, and in ANC, you could say about 300 kilocalories per day. Not just calories, even the protein requirement is there. That is for 10 kg gestational weight gain, the lady requires 1723 grams uh, per day extra proteins, that is one in the first trimester, 1 gram per day, then 7 grams per day in the second trimester, and 23 grams per day extra calories. This is 1, 7 and 23 in first, second and third trimester, extra requirement of proteins than what was her baseline requirement. Other than this, the diet should have additional calcium, that is 1200 milligrams per day, and vitamin C and vitamin D. Okay, and you should have lot of cereals, fibers to avoid constipation. Then the other important points are about personal hygiene. She should be advised on the personal hygiene. A bath has to be taken daily. She should wear clean, light and loose clothes. Okay, and she should usually avoid high heels. Okay, and good oral hygiene and all that has to be maintained. Then about the uh, other uh, habits, okay, like smoking and alcohol. This could lead to IUGR, and so all this should be avoided. About sexual intercourse, it is best avoided during the first and the third trimester. Okay, then drugs and radiation. The golden rule is to avoid drugs unless prescribed. Okay, unless if needed, then only uh, they have to be given. Fine. Then radiation also, they are harmful to fetus and should be avoided. Then another important thing is the warning signs should be told to the mother. like swelling of feet, convulsions, severe headache, blurring of vision, okay, bleeding and discharge per vagina, then severe abdominal pain or any other unusual symptoms. Then other advices about exercise, light or moderate exercise has to be told. Then the moderate household work could be undertaken. Okay, and lifting heavy weights, all that should be avoided. Travel during the first and third, um, uh, usually in the first trimester after third week has to be avoided. Then few other thing is care of the breast has to be told, and proper weight monitoring and all that has to be told. Then few other things are about the drugs. Uh, some drugs are harmful between the 4 to 8 weeks, and so uh, they could be teratogenic, and that's why you need to take care. Few common examples are thalidomide, streptomycin, then iodine preparations, corticosteroids, sex hormones, pethidine, tetracycline, and LSD. So all these have been proved to have teratogenic effect. Okay, so we know thalidomide caused deformed hand and feet deformities. Streptomycin causes eighth nerve damage and deafness. Iodine preparations could lead to congenital goiters. Then steroids could have impaired fetal growth. Sex hormones could cause virilism, and then pethidine could have respiratory depression, and tetracyclines could have deformed bones and teeth, and LSD could have chromosomal damage. So again, this is important for when you for your MCQs, okay, for your entrance exam. So this is an important question. So this we have already told about cancer. Exposure to radiation can lead to uh, leukemias, microencephalopathy, okay, and X-rays I told you should be avoided. Warning signs also we have already discussed, that is swelling of feet, fits, headache, blurring of vision, bleeding or discharge per vagina. Now coming to the specific health protection. These are few specific health problems, and which are more common during pregnancy, and we need to take care of them. Okay, that is anemia, toxemia of pregnancy, syphilis, tetanus, German measles, HIV, then genetic screening and RH status. Anemia, so it is associated with premature birth, postpartum hemorrhage, purpural sepsis and thromboembolism. Mainly it is a nutritional anemia, that is iron and folic acid deficiency, and for this iron supplementation is done, that is 100 milligrams of iron and 500 micrograms of folic acid are given for 100 days, and it's distributed by these ANC clinics, sub-centers and PHCs. And other nutritional deficiencies also are common, like protein, vitamin A, iodine deficiency. In some centers fresh milk is being provided. Where it's not possible, skimmed milk is given. Then vitamin A and vitamin D capsules are also being provided. Another important point here is especially to uh, in case of anemia, deworming is also done. That is, one tablet of albendazole, 400 milligram, is given in second trimester of pregnancy. About toxemia of pregnancy, it's diagnosed by presence of albumin in urine and high blood pressure. Then about tetanus, it's prevented by giving tetanus toxide injections, that is uh, that's given at 16 to 20 weeks, the first dose, and then a second dose at 20 to 24 weeks of pregnancy. Okay, a minimum of 1 month gap has to be there between both the doses, and second dose preferably it's given 1 month prior to date of delivery. About syphilis, it's a preventable cause of pregnancy wastage. So Syphilis can cause spontaneous abortions, stillbirths, perinatal deaths, and congenital syphilis. Usually prevention is by 10 daily doses of procaine penicillin. And another important thing is about German measles. It's prevented by rubella vaccination of all women of childbearing age. Another important point of concern here is we need to advise the lady that after giving this uh, vaccination for rubella, they should not get or they should not conceive at least for 8 weeks after this vaccination, okay, because of the risk of the fetus from the virus. Okay. About RH status, now RH incompatibility can cause to erythroblasto or the hydrops fetalis, and this could be prevented by giving RH anti-D immunoglobulins at 28 weeks of gestation. Okay, and after delivery, if the baby is RH positive, anti-D immunoglobulins are given again within 72 hours of delivery. So this happens when if the mother is negative, father is positive, and the baby is also positive. Okay, that is the RH for this RH factor. Okay. Then prenatal genetic screening, that is screening of these chromosomal abnormalities has to be done. Okay. Mental preparation, the mother has to be prepared mentally, and mothercraft classes could help them. And family planning, that is at this point the lady would be she would easily accept the various family planning options. So all these could be explained to the lady. The pediatric component, that in these antenatal care centers, a pediatrician has to be there, so he could take care of the under 5s which are coming with the mother to the antenatal care centers. To summarize the topic, first we told about the antenatal care, that is the health care of the pregnant women. Then we spoke about the objectives. The most important ones among them are the mother and the child. Okay. Once we finish the antenatal period, we should have a healthy mother and a healthy baby. Okay. And any high risk cases we need to see early, and we need to take care of them. Okay. So these are the most important objectives, and then we need to know how many visits are needed, okay, and about the antenatal card, the home visits, and to know how much is the expected number of pregnancies in that area, okay, and then about the advice what we need to give in this period. Thank you.